Zhuzh the hair. I think we are here. I think we're live. We're just gonna wait till some folks join. I did a little announcement on my Instagram. I know after work, or I don't know what time of day it is for you guys. It's after work for me here in New York. So, different times work for different peeps. I'm gonna get a drink. Get yourself a drink if you're joining me. Hey, Amy. Amy, where are you joining me from today? It's pitch black out in New York because it's 7 p.m. here, so it's a little dark in here, but we've got some lighting set up. What's up, Sheena? I'm gonna give it just a couple minutes as folks kind of trickle on in. Cool. I want to wet my whistle a little bit, so I think I'm going to get some branch chains. What's up, Nancy? Coffee in hand. Coffee is always a good idea. I usually got my Nespresso machine back there. That baby's a game changer, let me tell you. Everyone always asks if it's worth it, and I think I've had the Nespresso machine for at least a full year, maybe 2 years now, and we use it almost every single day. So, New Hampshire. Do you guys have a lot of snow there right now, Amy? Because we got so much snow today. Nikki, I couldn't do the pony. I just felt like it wasn't doing me any favors. So we just judged it and called it a day. That's all we're gonna do. So grab yourself a drink, guys. I'm gonna grab myself a little drink. We'll get going here. Is the dog still in bed, Jay? What's up, y'all? Just grabbed myself some branch chains, a little thirst quencher, if you will. Sometimes at nighttime, I just want some flavor, you know? Whether I've drank water all day or not, I just want some flavor in my life. So I'm drinking the Machine Fuel Circus Juice. It's so freaking good. Yeah, it's branched chain amino acids, so it's great for intra-workout, preserving your lean mass, but it just also tastes like juice, I'm gonna be honest. So sometimes we drink this when we feel like having a little juice in our lives. So see, like, we've got a bunch of folks joining me. I love it when you guys mention where you're from. Most of you probably know I'm from New York, so it is rather dark here right now. But welcome. Thank you for spending your evening with me. I thought it'd be fun to just hang out, chit chat, talk about food, talk about nutrition. I am a talker, so I can talk about a lot of stuff. But if you guys have questions at any time, enter them into the chat box and I'll try to kind of respond to everyone. Lots of you here. What's up, Ron from Virginia? Lorenzo's here. He wants to know what to eat if he wants to gain muscle. Great question, Lorenzo. First things first is you have to eat enough if you want to gain muscle. You got to be eating enough, and protein is the #1 thing for building that muscle and making sure you get adequate protein sources through your diet, which can be harder to do than not. Honestly, the clients that I work with, while primarily females, I would say that's one of the biggest struggles I see with my clients is that macronutrient ratio of what you're getting. We've got carbs, proteins, fats, and yes, there's alcohol lingering out there too, but protein is really the #1 to help you not only build muscle, but studies do show higher protein diets can assist with weight loss. So protein is really important, you guys, and making sure you get enough. And that's something I struggle with at times too, because protein's not super quick. It's not super convenient for the most part. It can be if you plan accordingly, but you kind of have to think about it and be purposeful. It's way easier to get a bunch of carbohydrates in your diet. It's way easier to get fats in your diet. Protein you have to be purposeful with. So really thinking about it, planning in some high protein meals and snacks. So that's awesome. You just started weightlifting. I'm really jealous. I wish I knew now what I knew when I started weightlifting. It's not that I didn't know it then. I just was still in such a cardio mind state and wanting to be thin versus gain muscle. So you're just starting lifting. This is a great time for you to really put on some good lean tissue being a noob. Those newbie gains are unreal. You kind of never get them back. So capitalize on those. Really focus your lifting, progressive lifting as you can with making sure you get in good nutrition. And I'm excited to see what you do, Lorenzo. That's awesome. Oh, Nancy, I didn't realize you were in Korea. That's awesome. What time is it in Korea, girl? Is it morning? I don't know the time difference. What's up, Letitia? Thanks for joining me. Letitia's my girl. Go follow her on Instagram for her morning rants when she drinks her coffee and motivates me for the day with her little pep talks. Brian wants to know how long to get a dietitian degree. For myself, to become a registered dietitian, the program that I did was a 4-year program. It was called a coordinated program, which a lot of schools don't offer anymore, but it built in the required internship hours, which at that time weren't as high as they are now, actually. But it built in that internship time so that after I finished my 4 years, I finished my bachelor and I was able to sit for my RD exam. They are changing the program route, so there's some different options there with becoming a dietitian. It is turning into a master's required program. I do have my master's degree. It was not required at the time, however. So for me, it took 4 years. For most people now entering the field, it's going to take you a full 6 years to be eligible to sit for that actual RD or RDN credential. Ooh. Just some circus juice.
Just plain?
Yep. Lori asked, what are some good health snacks? I actually have snacks sitting next to me. They're not super healthy necessarily. I went to Trader Joe's, which is like snack central and foodie central, but not always healthy. It's really about finding what you enjoy, Lori. Like for me, I've never kind of compartmentalized foods into having to fit like, oh, I can only eat this at breakfast or I can only eat that as a snack. Like for me, sometimes a meal is a snack. Do you know what I'm saying? So let's just get that on the table right now. Sometimes shifting how we think about labeling food and how we eat by shifting that talk in our head. If you're someone like me that talks in your head, it can really help you out a bit. In terms of other healthy snacks, look, for me, I think about why am I snacking? If it's just something to tide me over till dinner, a snack can go the same way as a meal, having a good ratio of a little bit of protein there with a little bit of fat and carbs. In a perfect world, it doesn't always have to be that way though. You don't fail if you just sit down and eat some crackers. There's nothing wrong with that, but you won't feel as satiated from it. So when you're going to go in for a snack, think about why you're snacking, how long you're trying to be held over for. Is it just, I'm snacking because I'm bored, or I really need something to hold me over until I get home from work. So what am I gonna have that's gonna kind of meet that need? So for me, some of my favorite snacks, I'll be honest, Homegirl just likes a little bag of mini pretzels and a Diet Pepsi. I'm gonna be honest, it's not super nutritious, but that's a snack sometimes that just does it for me, where I'm kind of like, okay, I feel good, I feel all right, take it to the next meal. If I'm really trying to have something that will fill me up and last me a while, one of my favorites is raw cut up veggies, an assortment, bell peppers, carrots, sugar peas, dipped in hummus. This is my babe.
Everybody was probably just like, what is that rapper sound?
This is shredded cheeses. Again, what kind of cheese you eating? Oh, you making grilled cheese?
I'm making grilled cheese sandwich.
Is that a good healthy snack, boo?
It tastes good.
It's not a bad snack. We make it on whole wheat bread. We add some cheeses to it, a little bit of butter. You get a little bit of protein, carbs, and fat.
Super healthy with that Velveeta fake cheese slices on it.
But you gotta do what you gotta do. This guy doesn't struggle losing weight, or well, you struggle trying to keep your weight on, I should say. But for me, that's one of my #1 snacks. Bruce Wayne, are you joining us? Hello.
The whole family's here.
Hello. He was sleeping in our bed. Hello, love. Oh, you're too tired. So for me, yeah, crunchy veggies, something that takes a little bit longer to chew, that's satisfying. Have some fruit with it. Fruit and yogurt and granola has been one of my favorite jams. Hey, baby.
He's heavy.
Yeah, Jason and I eat a lot of fruit. That fruit in the background's not a display. It's
That'll
what we go
last.
through in like a couple days.
I'll eat this tonight. I'll eat those tomorrow. I'll eat one of those tomorrow. I'll eat half the pineapple tomorrow.
Someone asked, these are Buff Bunny. These are the jacquard leggings. They're older, but they are still available on the website. And I think on sale, and this is the bomber coat, which I'm an outfit repeater. I wore this 2 days in a row to work. I don't care. I'm an outfit repeater. It was comfortable.
Cheese hands?
Other snack options, I like Greek yogurt. I'm not as big of a snacker, honestly, as I am just like a meal person, because that's what fills me up. But snacking can honestly be anything. I'm a big sandwich girl, making things into sandwiches. Yeah, I hope that.
I bet you got mad because I went in the room to the VR too.
Probably.
He gets pissed if I do that.
I'm looking back at your questions, you guys, so I'm just looking down here. So I answered that for Lori. Hopefully that helps. Amber asked, just restarting my fitness journey, I can't drink coffee. Can BCAAs help with energy? There are some BCAAs that do have caffeine added to them, but I'm going to be honest, I don't really get any natural energy just from the branched chain amino acids. What you would probably like, though, if you're looking for something that's not a stimulant, would be the machine greens. That's got a multivitamin complex in it. I was hoping I'd have my helper help me here. This is what I recommend to my clients who don't want any kind of stimulants but want something to give them energy. It's the machine greens, and it has a multivitamin complex in there as well. Tons of good stuff in this. This is what I use essentially as a multivitamin. But again, when I'm like having that afternoon crash where I know I'm not hungry, but you feel that need for energy that makes you want to reach for food, I tend to reach for this. And this actually, I'm not trying to make sales right now. I'm just being genuinely honest about what I do. I pair these two together, the fuel with the greens. If you guys have been here for a minute, I've been using these products for years. You can get these at tigerfitness.com. I do have a link in any of my YouTube videos that I do earn a small commission from. You don't have to use it if you don't want, but that is my recommendation for kind of that natural energy that you can get. But again, not really so much from branch chains unless you pick a type that has caffeine added to it. Stevie says, help, I feel bloated all the time. What can I do? Bloat is just such a chronic, common complaint that's very individualized, if you will. Like it can be very hard to tease out. So when someone says they feel bloated all the time, there's not one thing that I'm like, oh, this is what it is, this is what you do. It really takes a bit of figuring out what the trigger is if you are truly bloated. You know, is there something in your diet that's causing you to feel bloated? Is it you're not going to the bathroom regularly? Is it that you're not drinking enough water? Is it how quickly you're eating your foods? Is it the carbonation or the gum that you're chewing all day long kind of filling your body with air? So there's a lot of different things there that can contribute to bloat. You know, as a dietitian, I may promote for people to eat majority of your foods whole foods, eat raw veggies, eat salads. That might wreck you. That might be the exact thing that's causing you issues and distress. So very, very individualized. My best general suggestion for you is keeping some type of diary to kind of start tracking, when does the bloat start? Do you wake up with the bloat, or when does the bloat get worse? What kind of triggers it? It takes a lot of time, but by being that detailed, it'll help you better narrow down what may be contributing to that. Let's see. Can't find your phone? It's probably hiding under something.
I like everybody's probably like, why is he walking in circles?
Don't leave your grilled cheese too long. Yeah, Daisy, it does depend what school you attend for your dietetics degree and what kind of degree you're looking for. They are kind of changing it right now, where there's some different options based on how many years you go to school and what that will allow you to do in this career. An empanada. An empanada? Did I say that right? That sounds delicious. Sheena, great question, Sheena. She asked regarding stevia. She's heard mixed messages. What are my thoughts? She likes the Zevia sodas. Those are made with stevia to get her caffeine fix. So basically there is quite a bit of research on artificial sweeteners, although stevia is lumped in there, even though stevia is looked at more of a natural artificial sweetener because it comes from a plant. Really, everything in moderation, you guys, and there is something in my throat, so I apologize. A little branch chains in my throat. There is something called the GRAS, the generally recognized as safe by the FDA. So based on research and meta-analysis done on folks who consume these, I mean, I don't have any research articles right in front of me, but yes, the overall general consensus is nothing has been found to be unsafe, especially at set amounts. So there are kind of different amounts set for Splenda, sucralose, aspartame, things like that. So for me personally, what I do and what I tell my clients, everything in moderation. You know, is it a health food? No. So if it's something you feel like you're consuming a lot of, maybe look to kind of cut it down a bit. You know, for myself personally, your phone's in the bedroom, babe.
I know, I did find my phone on Google.
Oh, cool. For me personally, like for instance, my coffee, I add Splenda to my coffee. I've tried to cut back on that a little bit and just think about where am I getting artificial sweetener sources in throughout my day. And then kind of modify from there if it really is something that you are concerned about. But you always kind of have to pick and choose your battles. There are so many different things that you can kind of pinpoint with nutrition and fitness in your lifestyle that should I be doing this, shouldn't I? That there's going to be no options left for you of what to eat and drink if you kind of nitpick every little thing. Like how far down the rabbit hole are we going to go, right? So that's kind of my general advice when you think about these things and hear about them. You know, really think about if it's something, a particular issue that you really need to pay attention to or not. The Beck Life wants to know, does your blood type impact what foods are better for you? I honestly, there are plenty of books out. There's people that preach it. I don't know that I believe it, but I am the person that I'm never gonna be so closed-minded to think that something could not work, all right? So I've done the blood type diet. I was super bro about 10 years ago, Jay? Is that when we started that? And we did the blood type diet. That's what we did. That was when we were clean eaters and we did the blood type diet. For me personally, I don't know if I felt any different doing that versus other diets that I've done throughout my life. So do you need to do that to be the healthiest? That's not been proven at all. The healthiest diet is the diet that you enjoy and you can stick with and does show good health indicators based on blood work, based on symptoms, how you're feeling, all that kind of stuff. Lorenzo wants to know, how many times a week should I work out? Again, very individualized. You know, you're just starting out. I would never tell someone who's just starting out, you have to lift 6 days a week, because going from 0 to 100 is, for most people, not sustainable, or it's only sustainable for X amount of time. So either slowly working up to things or really thinking about what's realistic for you at this point in your life, and what may be realistic for you right now. What are you doing? May not be realistic all year round. So also knowing to be flexible with yourself. You know, I think when COVID hit, for a lot of us fitness folks, we had to learn a new way to be more flexible. We had to be more flexible with ways of how to work out if we couldn't go to the gym. And we had to be flexible with prioritizing it, because we're in a pandemic and unfortunately for some of us, our priorities had to shift and we weren't able to focus on that as much. So it's what I will say though, for general population, guys, we got to get moving every day, and I'm one of them too. I work a desk job. I sit my fat booty there all day long, and some days barely move. The bathroom's right across the hall. I have nowhere else to go. It's COVID. I'm not even supposed to like go to someone else's office because that's not like PC in today's world. I'm supposed to call you or email you. So he's hungry.
He's getting my grilled cheese. Like,
if you want to feed him, you can. Just try feeding him right
he
here.
wants my grilled cheese.
He can't have it. You totally threw me off my train of thought.
No, it won't focus. It's focusing on your eyes.
Just blew up your nose.
It's the wrong thing.
But we do need to get moving every day, you guys. So sometimes maybe it's not getting to the gym, but it's just going for a walk. Maybe it's moving around your house more, taking your dog for a walk. Anything to get moving is so good for us. So
He picked up his alligator, brought it over, dropped it, and stared at my grilled cheese again.
at what temperature do I air fry my cauliflower gnocchi? Stevie, I have been actually more into pan frying it in a little oil. Girl's been doing well with her fats lately, but when I did air fry it, I would do, we cook everything at like 375 to 400.
400, we cook everything at 400.
Everything's 400, but when we used the old air fryer, when I was doing my gnocchis, it was 375 actually.
Okay.
And I used to do them for 12 minutes, I believe. Is that enough, Beanie? It's Hurley. Get a panini press for your sandwiches, game changer. That would not, baby, a panini press, I can make my own toasted PB&J at home.
You could.
I wouldn't need Geno's. Okay. Do I recommend any specific probiotic brands or bacteria strands? There are so many options. Yeah, there really are. It would be really hard for me to give you set recommendations, but I did work with Mark Lobliner to come out with my own probiotic. I like how this has turned into a little infomercial. This was not planned. You guys are asking these questions. But if you didn't know, I do work in collaboration with Vitam. This is a brand sold at tigerfitness.com. That's where you guys can get it. And Mark and I came up with this formulation, and I did base the formulation on specific prebiotic and probiotic blends that I felt like would kind of hit the majority of what you guys would look for in a probiotic and need. So there's so many different strains, and they do all kind of focus on different things. I focused Regulator a bit more on weight loss and adding back in that any of the probiotics are good gut bugs, essentially, that we're adding back into your gut microbiome. So you want to get as many strands as possible. And this also has an enzyme blend to it as well, so it just can kind of assist you in overall digestive health. So this is obviously what I'm going to recommend to you guys, but one thing you could do from a more general or individualized aspect, I should say, is think about what your goals are, and you could do some research on the different blends. The other thing I'll say too is if you're someone who's buying yogurt to get in your probiotics, make sure that your yogurt has at least 5 to 6 strands in there. If you don't have at least that many strands, you're likely not really getting a ton of benefit from what's in there. So, Jadelyn, sure, I would have to see what your email says to me if I can answer it. Lorenzo, also filled with great questions here tonight, Lorenzo, really taking advantage. I like that. Should I eat before a workout or after? This is really individualized. You would probably never want to eat directly before a workout, because what's going to happen is your body is going to be trying to digest that food. So that's a whole process going on in your body with digestion. So if you then eat and then go right into a workout or cardio, sometimes you're gonna get a little bit nauseous from that. So I usually recommend people eat at least an hour or so before you work out if you're someone that prefers eating before a workout. I work out first thing in the morning, and I literally roll out of bed and go in my basement and work out, so I do not eat before I work out. Depends on your goals. At the same rate, there's a lot of research that shows it doesn't make a big difference either way in terms of muscle gain, so do what works best for you, what's most easily sustainable.
I think the 5th time he's dropped it at my feet.
Let's see, LA Custom, I have IBSI, I have to eat gluten-free, can you help me? I have acne, Corso named Roman. Okay, that would probably be something where I could help you more so during like an actual consult versus over the live. I will say that for any of you guys that do medically need to eat gluten-free, we are in a beautiful time in 2021 where sky's the limits with options that you have for eating gluten-free that actually don't taste that bad either. It will cost you a bit more, but it is doable. And in terms of Clarissa's question, anything about PCOS, I'm gonna say POCS. PCOS and diets with that, yes, a lot of times it's individualized. I know, you guys hate hearing that statement, but it can be. A lot of times depending on the person and where your labs and hormones are at, depending on what kind of therapy you're at, usually it's gonna be more of monitoring the amount of sugar in your diet, monitoring more of that glycemic load, the glycemic index, with what carbohydrates you're selecting. So I'm not sure if you've gotten any education on that. That would be something to work with a dietitian on, or your primary care if they have any information. Danielle, I'm still so the thyroid research, I got this nutrition, basically it's like nutrition management for thyroid disease. It came from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which is the academy that, I'm under as an RD. So I have to get enough credits to maintain my RD status. So I wanted to kind of plan getting my credits from something that interested me, which is hormonal health. So I am trying to learn more about it, and I haven't gotten too far in my reading yet, but the one thing I will say is, which I already knew from my own and Jason's personal experience with thyroid and going to a doctor, I knew it was very conflicting. Also looking at Dr. Childs, if you've watched him at all on YouTube, if you have any thyroid issues, go follow Dr. Childs either right now so you don't forget, or after me. He's excellent. He's so good at breaking things down in layman's terms where it's understandable, and he just has a very non-biased approach with how he teaches about it. But the one thing I saw with looking through my book is just how divided it is with what we should be doing for not only thyroid treatment, but where we're diagnosing people at, what parameters we're using, if those parameters should change or not. It's really kind of across the board how we're handling thyroid issues right now, which is unfortunate because there's so many different types and so many people are not getting diagnosed until years and years and years later, because primary care only looks at TSH levels, and your endo thinks there's nothing wrong, even though you could be having symptoms, even though your labs may be well within the reference range. But again, there's discrepancies in what that reference range should be and when we should treat. There's also way more labs that can be tested to really tease out what's going on with your thyroid. So a lot of good stuff. I plan to continue to share that information with you guys on the YouTube. I want to plan more Instagram content too, with more nutrition focus, even though oddly enough, this is the most requested stuff, is my nutrition talks, my nutrition posts. It gets the least engagement. It blows my mind.
Everyone's always you ask and everyone's this, but then nobody watches.
People get butthurt when I post all my Buff Bunny pictures.
But that's the stuff everybody's liking and commenting.
That's the shit you guys actually engage in. So be an informed consumer and engage in the stuff that you want to see more of. I'm not trying to be that person. Social media is not my job, but hey, if you want to help a girl out and help someone grow and share the content, you have to engage in the stuff that you guys like and want to see more of. So I'll get off my soapbox on that.
No, it's why keep doing the same thing if it's not working? It's
Lexi thinks your grilled cheese looks bomb, by the way.
It was. Bruce thought it was too.
I do pan fry, for the gnocchis, I pan fry from frozen, Letitia. And I don't follow the instructions, it says to put water in there. I don't do that. I put that shit in the fry pan with a little oil and we just cook it up. We get burnt by oil a bit. It's all right. Pain is worth it for the food. And it turns out so good. It gets like crispy on the outside, but it stays like gooey in the inside. And that's just, I love that for me, so. Brian, I haven't really tried Alani Nu supplements. I'm a diehard MTS nutrition gal. I work with tigerfitness.com. I have for like 6 years, 7 years maybe. So I'm diehard with their products, as well as I've gone a bit more, I haven't gone more plant-based, but I don't do as much whey protein anymore because I was having some negative side effects with it. So the other thing that I use all the time for me, or anyone that is looking for a dairy-free plant-based protein, this is by far the best tasting one, okay? In terms of texture and taste, this is it. I have to burp.
That happens on lives. It's all good.
I always have to burp on lives.
It's acceptable.
Oh, Papa Franku loves my live streams. Cool. Can diabetes be reversed with a good diet? You know, they used to say that they would, not they used to say, but there used to be this phase, and I don't know that I see it as much anymore, but where they'd kind of catch you in this stage of what we'd call pre-diabetes. That was kind of the time where it was like your glucose is reading a little bit high, your fasting glucose, again, based on the reference range, it's gonna be a little bit different with who you go through or what lab, lab company you get tested through. But that pre-diabetic stage is more so where they would catch it and say, look, now is your time to, let's lose some weight, let's eat right, let's monitor what you're eating, and let's retest. So that was kind of the stage where you could, quote unquote, reverse diabetes. For the most part, once you are someone that's been diagnosed with diabetes, the only time I've clinically seen it reversed is when folks have bariatric surgery, where there's an actual adjustment to the physiology of your body, where folks do go off their either oral hypoglycemic agents, or maybe they were even on insulin and don't need that anymore. For the most part, it's not really a reversible disease, if you will, but I'm just like a never say never girl. It depends on the scenario. You don't know. That, especially with the weight loss surgery, that I've seen how impactful it is on individuals' health. It's insane, so. I'm just reading through your comments. Are you guys enjoying the live? Do you guys like kind of these non-specific lives where I'm just like, tell me what you got, let's talk? Do you like that? Or would you prefer it's like, no, we're doing the live and this is the topic and that's what we're talking about? Let me know. I already answered that, I think. Oh, I took my pony out because I felt insecure about it. I try to make the little tiny pony happen and my hair's so thin. It's fine. And I just feel like that looks really cute on girls with thick hair that have like a big beefy hair thing coming down. I don't have that. It's all right. Is anybody else's like skin so dry? The winters in New York are just like so dry. Just that and like wearing a mask all day. It makes me itchy. I'm over it.
Put the heat on a little higher in here, so it makes it so much drier.
I know.
Again.
Stevie, I'm cool with that if you found me because of Bruce Wayne. I feel like it's so funny because Jason's channel's exploded. If you guys don't already follow him, you should.
Yeah.
You're at 170K?
I'm 71.
Well, you and Bruce are. You can't take full credit, but so it's really cool to see who's like followed.
Bruce, stay. Lay down.
Like who's found me because of Jason and vice versa. I had someone tell me the other day, they were like,
good boy.
They were following me and her husband was following you, and she showed her husband a picture of Bruce Wayne and he's like, yeah, that's Bruce Wayne. I know who that is. Why do you have a picture of Bruce Wayne? She's like, I follow his wife. It's just kind of funny that there's like a lot of people still.
It comes full circle.
Yeah, they don't put two and two together and like they're both following us, but for separate reasons.
Funny.
Yeah, you can, LA Custom, you can totally do at home cooking for gluten-free. There's no real like special tips. It's just a matter of making sure you're educated on what is actually gluten-free or not, and making sure you purchase that and don't cross-contaminate with gluten if you're someone that does have celiacs or any other kind of allergy or intolerance, because depending on your sensitivity, you could have a sensitivity just from cross-contamination, honestly. Let's see. Amanda would like to know, should people work out regularly? Oh, should people that work out regularly and tend to sweat a lot have a higher sodium intake? That's a good question. It really does depend how much you are perspirating. If you are losing a lot of electrolytes, which would be sodium and potassium, you may need to replenish that more than the average person, absolutely. The average sodium intake for Americans tends to be much higher than what the recommendation is. So you kind of want to consider that too, like how high in sodium is your diet already. Most of us don't need to salt our food, but some of us do. When I was marathon training, which is a hot minute ago, but I always like to kind of think about that time and use that experience to guide you guys, but I would do training runs that were 2 to 3 hours long. I would legit, as gross as this is, I'd have like a.
You were disgusting when you would get home.
I was nasty AF. I would have a salt crusted like sideburn down my face.
Yep.
I'd have just like white salt caked all over me. And like when you saw that, it was like, holy, I really gotta replenish myself. It can be really hard to get in enough to kind of replenish yourself during a workout. Not to pump another product up in her, but MTS Naturalite is my go-to.
It is.
People are gonna be so mad at me for this. I kind of find it funny now, but this is what I do, you guys, and I'm gonna be honest with you, so take it or leave it. MTS Naturalite, natural electrolytes in here. You've got sodium from sea salt, calcium, potassium, magnesium, and coconut water powder.
I mix it with this, with Nectar. That's what I have every day.
Yeah.
Those two together.
Right.
And I have these two together in the morning. These two in the afternoon.
We got a lot of stuff going on, but this is something I always used when I ran. I would use like a little water bottle. You can use it during workouts too. I work out in my basement now. I don't sweat that much, even with using the Peloton now. I'm like, girl, why aren't you sweating? Because I'm over there huffing and puffing and not breathing, but I ain't sweating. So anyways, yeah, it depends. If you're sweating a lot, see how you feel too, because if you're lacking, I know when I was in prep mode and was getting really lean, if I was lacking in sodium, number one, energy was tanked. Number two, I looked flat as a pancake. My muscles were not filled out whatsoever. So just a side note how important sodium actually is. Sometimes it gets a bad rap. It doesn't need to. You just need to be cognizant if you're eating 3 cans of soup and 4 frozen dinners. Odds are you don't need to salt your food, you don't need a supplemental drink, and you don't need to be walking around drinking Gatorade all day, okay?
Kara's little rant.
That's my little rant. Ooh, can you talk about changes in fitness in your 30s versus 20s? I'll be honest, the biggest change for me is my mental. It has nothing to do with the physical, so don't be scared of entering your 30s like everything's gonna fall down the tubes. I do have more aches and pains though, I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. Like, things do hurt a little bit more. I'd say 35 was the magic number for me personally, where I started noticing more aches and pains. Biggest change for me was mental though. In my 20s, now granted, I lived through the era of the Lindsay Lohans, the Hillary Duffs, the Nicole Richies. Skinny as skinny could be. That's what we were seeing plastered on magazines, and that was, you know, society's ideal body, right? Like, that's what was being thrown at us, and that's what I thought I was supposed to look like. So in my 20s, it was like all about trying to be as tiny as possible. I need to be thin, I need to be skinny, especially being a dietitian, starting out in social media, all that kind of pressure, right? So just kind of really quickly, into my 30s, I am so much more confident in who I am and what my body is and what it does for me. I'm not as insecure. And I'm not skinny, if you will, like I was then. I've built more muscle, I've built curves, I feel strong, and I've just learned a different appreciation for my body the older I've gotten versus in my 20s, just being negative minded and only seeing bad things and only seeing things I wanted to change and not being able to take a compliment. Like when someone would compliment me, I like literally couldn't believe it. It wasn't me looking for attention by saying, no, it's not. I literally couldn't believe people. I couldn't take a compliment. I was that annoying person. That's the biggest shift for me, I would say. Which, whew, I really wish I could have made that shift early into my 20s, but you know, the world's different now than it was when I was in my 20s, especially with social media. This stuff wasn't around then. You know, you didn't have the inspiration from folks like me. No, you didn't have all this access to information and knowledge and motivation and these good reminders that I think we all need to hear. So I know, I need to get a facial, Letitia. Jay's mom got me a gift card to a local place. I haven't had a facial since COVID hit. And I was doing facials like, I spent a lot of money on
You
facials.
don't say facial.
Huh? Why?
It's all you sound all sexual now.
Do I? Why?
I'm walking away.
Whiskey's keto. You got
I'm
that
walking
right.
away.
Okay. How big's my doggy, Bruce? As big as a bear. He's the heavyweight champ.
He is.
He's looking at me over the counter. He's 155 pounds, and I could talk about him all day. So if you get me going, that is where we are going. I would just
Somebody's asking about Bruce?
Mm-hmm.
Check out my channel.
I'm a proud dog mom. I feel like I birthed him vaginally, even though I didn't, thankfully. We're still in good shape. But moving on from that before we get flagged over here. Can I talk about natural sugars versus added? Great question, Allison. I actually had a client just mention this to me the other day. She said, what is my goal for sugar, Kara? Here's what I said to her. Number one, she was a vegan, or follows more of a veganish diet, but I don't have folks follow set sugar goals. Focusing more on what you just asked me here, Allison, the natural versus added, is a great thing to take a look at. You may have to actually be actively tracking to really know the difference, or just be more mindful with the labels that you're looking at, which is now a new label requirement. You will see items that say, I got some marinara sauce here right now. Not yet. They don't have to just yet. Folks have to move into it, but they will have to list added sugar. So when you go under your carbohydrate, eventually most labels will have to say what's added sugar. So there will be full transparency, but with label updates, they have to give manufacturers time to make the updates, and a lot of this stuff is done so far out. You hear what I'm saying. So eventually you will have a bit more transparency under your carbohydrates to know what's added sugar. Look at the ingredients, see what's in there. Sugars can be disguised a few ways. But you know, if you're getting a marinara sauce and it's got 7 carbohydrates in it and 7 grams are of sugar, there's probably more than just tomatoes in your marinara sauce. I never want folks to be so, again, going down the rabbit hole where it's like, it has 3 grams of sugar though, oh my gosh. No, let's just keep it basic. Are you eating fruits? Great, fabulous. We don't focus enough of our diet on fruits because we're worried about the sugar. Those are natural sugars. You don't need to worry about them. Are you a diabetic? Okay, I'm gonna have a separate conversation with you over here because we do have to talk about your sugar and your glucose that's coming into the body, and we have to be more mindful about it. The average person here I'm speaking to though, you don't need to. But it's a good rule of thumb to kind of look at your diet and say, am I eating a lot of added sugars? Does my diet consist of all these plantain chips sprinkled with sea salt and dark chocolate drizzled all over them? This one actually does have the label update on it. Total carbohydrates, 19 grams. Dietary fiber, 1 gram. Total sugars, 4, which includes 4 grams of added sugars. So this label spells it out for you. You will see more of this where you can see there's 19 carbs in here, 4 of them's added sugar. that's not that bad for being a snacky treat. There's dark chocolate in here. We see that there is sugar added to this, obviously. Nothing sky high. Nothing sky high though. There isn't really a set number I'm gonna tell folks to aim for though. I hope that was helpful. I know I kinda, I go all over the place, but that's what I do. Especially late at night, I get sassy, real sassy at nighttime.
Do a couple drinks and you get extra sassy.
Jason doesn't drink, but he loves it when I drink because of how sassy I am. I'm very no nonsense.
Unless I want to go to sleep.
Right, then I talk his ear off and he's like, can you shut up? I'm trying to sleep.
True story.
Yeah. Do I notice changes in how I have to train now in my 30s versus my 20s? I'd love to say no, but I definitely do notice, you know, I did years of running marathons, years of weight training. The older I get, your girl feels it in her knees. I would not be able to do the things I did in my 20s now for 2 reasons. Number 1, it hurts, okay? Number 2, I now think about the longevity of my fitness. In my 20s, I thought about being as fit as I possibly could, focusing in on the goal, whether it was a marathon, whether it was bodybuilding and getting my bikini pro status. Those were the goals. I was gonna push through it and do what it took. Okay, the older I get, the more I think about the longevity of my life and my career and my health, my fitness. I want to be active when I'm 50, 60, 70, 80, hopefully 90. I want to still be up and moving. I don't want to not be able to bend down and tie my shoes. I don't want to not be able to do things. I don't know how many runners I used to come across and when I was still running, and they'd be like, oh, I used to run too, but I can't anymore because of the damage that their bodies took. So those are some of the differences I see. And Lexi, I love you for saying you thought I was 25. Thanks, Lorenzo. We look aight. I think we look pretty good. I think
I look scruffy.
Jay's a little scruffy tonight. His hair grows incredibly fast. Should I eat eggs? That answer is if you like eggs, you eat them. That's the God's honest truth. They are a great source of nutrition. So if you like them, eat them. If you don't like them, there's plenty of other options for good nutrition. Oh yeah, see? If you're allergic to them too, that's the other thing. Don't eat them if you're allergic, and don't get your flu shot either. Sugar is not sugar though, okay? Sugar is sugar, but how is it coming into the body? So if you're eating an apple, you're not only getting in sugar. Most natural sugar sources are accompanied by other carbohydrates such as fiber, which the way we actually digest and absorb that apple is a bit different than if we just took a tablespoon of sugar and popped it into our mouth. So the glycemic index, if you will, I'm not a big glycemic index person, honestly, unless you really had to go that route, but it's not exactly the same because you're not comparing apples to apples. So anytime something is a natural sugar, oftentimes you are getting fiber or other components with it that do assist in that absorption process. So the spike essentially will not be the same. The fiber helps release it at a slower rate. So that's often a trick that I use with any of my diabetic clients is we don't ever eliminate carbohydrates. Ever. Not over here in Caracori Fit Life World. We don't omit them, but we may need to look for what the best sources are that are going to be best for you. Why does food taste better when other people prepare it? Restaurant versus home cooked. Yeah, the Beck Life, if I knew that, look, it just always does. That's why normally I make Jason's grilled cheese because it tastes better, right, babe?
100%.
It just does. And I don't know if it's because you're making it for someone else. Like when I make his grilled cheese, I'm like, I'm gonna make him the best fucking grilled cheese this guy's ever fucking had. And I put my heart and soul into it, all right? So it always tastes good. And then on your end, you're like, I just get to sit here and wait for my hot grilled cheese sandwich to show up.
No, I'm actually waiting, like, what's taking her so long to make my grilled cheese sandwich?
Carla Casillas, thank you for just subscribing with me. I hope you stick around. Let me know what else you'd like to see on the channel. make sure you guys are subscribed while you're over here. You know, sometimes YouTube does weird things. I love that. All right, Alexandra, thank you for subscribing. You guys are awesome. Make sure you are subscribed. We'll have lots of other content coming up like this. Okay, we're on a roll here. Get it, Mary. They can see that too, right?
They can see that.
Okay. Brittany's my favorite, and if you missed my Halloween costume recap I did earlier this year, I do have a video. What is going
because
on,
you never tell
Ines?
people
What's
to subscribe.
up? I do say it. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Okay, now Bruce is getting wild up in here. Thank you for subscribing. It means a lot. I'd love to, I don't know what my goals are for subscriber numbers. I've kind of stopped setting subscriber number goals because I haven't been focusing on that, but I do appreciate your support. So make sure you are subscribed. I really enjoy that. What else do we got? Lexi's also up in our chat box here educating us on the different sugars and the types that we can find in our foods. Sherry, that's a pretty kick-ass A1C, 5.7. That's great. Oh, Caitlin, supplements, how to figure out which are good, which are not, creatine, BCAAs. I've talked quite a bit about supplements on this live this evening. We're probably gonna wrap it up in the next few minutes here, guys. So any last minute questions, pop them in the box and we'll do some rapid fire here. But honestly, my dietitian take is, for the most part, number one, we should always first try to get what we can in via the diet and really think about that versus hopping on 1,700 supplements. It's just not always possible to, right? But, you know, and I do have several supplement videos. If you want to check them out in your spare time, go to my YouTube. On my YouTube channel, you guys, there is a search bar. You can go in my YouTube playlist and just search supplements, and that's going to provide you with some of the supplement videos I've done over the years. I did do one this past year going through in detail all the supplements I take and herbals as well. I threw some herbals into my regime this past year after dealing with hormonal acne. I was trying to do some natural remedies on my own. Why do I always have a hair on my lip? Probably because I'm always kissing Bruce Wayne. So check those videos out because figuring out what supplement is best for you is individualized. But what's also really key too is making sure you're going with a company that you know what's in the products you're buying is actually what's in there, right? Because supplements are not regulated by the FDA, so you really want to make sure that you're working with a brand that does their own testing, ideally, they send their product to a lab elsewhere and they get testing done that confirms exactly what's in there. This is why I've worked with Mark Lobliner for so long, because when Jason found Mark on YouTube, he was doing all these videos calling out other supplement brands because he would have their stuff tested, and I was like, this guy is the real deal, and he's like the smartest guy I've ever met. But what? Did someone just give me $20?
That's amazing.
What? Oh my god, that's so cool. That's so
Thank you,
awesome,
ADHD
whiskey. It's so awesome to. Yep. It happens, dude. You lose it, you gain it. You got to get back on that wagon and figure out what works for you. That was very kind of you. I appreciate you following both Jason and I and Mark for so long. You know, it doesn't go unnoticed, and appreciate that. Yeah, you know, we're all here because we do genuinely like helping people. So I'm not on YouTube to make money, you guys. I'm here just to help you all out, and it makes me feel good on the inside when I can help you out. So much appreciated. Yeah, I can.
Though.
Huh?
It does help, though.
It definitely does help. I'm not gonna lie on that. Will creatine raise your blood pressure, Anthony? No. No, it shouldn't. I've never heard that. And creatine's probably one of the most widely studied supplements. That is proven to be very beneficial if you are taking it to help with your lifts, to generate a bit more power with your lifts, but it has been studied, and that is one that definitely works, whereas some other supplements maybe not so much. So it depends. You know, for me, There are certain things that I normally recommend for supplements to everyone, but not always. Some people I say, no, you don't need anything at all. Other people, depending on where they live, I may say, let's get you a vitamin D. Depending on your diet, are you more veganish? We definitely got to get some B12 in you.
Let's be real, most people need vitamin D.
Most people do need vitamin D.
One
I
everyone
usually
should
recommend vitamin D to all my clients if they're not already taking it. Okay, so leave a comment, let me know. If you guys want me to do more of these lives, yes, as I asked, let me know.
It saves me a ton of editing time.
I feel like it's just, I like to be able to engage with you guys one-on-one. If you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me over there too. I try to engage with you guys a lot there as well.
How do they know your Instagram if they don't follow you on Instagram?
You have to go to Caracori Fit Life to follow me on Instagram. I didn't say it yet. Punk. What else do we have? What do I think about protein shakes? I have a hard time drinking them. Look, I used to drink protein shakes because I was supposed to drink protein shakes. I don't really anymore. What I do is I blend it into a smoothie. Like that for me, it's twofold because I'm getting in the protein and it tastes better blended as a smoothie, but you also have an easy way to add in more nutrition when you blend it into a smoothie. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat box a lot versus looking up here. When you blend it into a smoothie, like we always do our smoothies with wild blueberries in there. The tiny ones. You gotta get the wild, you guys. It tastes different. It's so much better. The nutrition that's packed into those little suckers is so good for you. So we always throw frozen blueberries in there. You can easily sneak in some spinach or kale, which I need to start doing because I've been super bad about my greens intake. And honestly, I don't think it tastes that much different. I like the way it tastes. It's very light tasting. You almost can't taste it if you blend it off good. So for me, was the question, do you have to drink a protein shake? I forgot. Whatever. You don't have to drink protein shakes if you don't want to. I do find for a lot of people getting that necessary protein amount, it is helpful. I was actually gonna ask Jason to make me a protein shake tonight. It does make it quite a bit easier. So if you do find a brand, a flavor you like, MTS Nutrition has so many good flavors of whey. I myself switched over to plant-based because the whey was bothering me. So I do the Ambrosia Planta protein, and they have tons of flavors too. So
that's what happens when you turn 25.
It all goes downhill.
Can't drink whey protein now.
Yeah, and then if you guys also have followed my channel for a while, or if you haven't and you're new here, again, go through my playlist. I did, in collaboration with Tiger Fitness, so many protein recipes. Like, there are so many protein videos for how to cook with protein and how to use it in so many different ways. Tons of recipes that have become staples in our household here. So there's lots of different ways to be creative with your protein powder if you're someone that just doesn't like drinking it, but you need it to get your protein intake up. Collagen protein as well. Vitam makes collagen protein. That is something that I've been doing. I need to do it every day because I want to for like my hair and stuff to really see if it makes a difference, because I feel like my hair is not growing like I'd like it to grow. I know it's long, you guys, but whatever. So collagen protein's another option there. That's nice because collagen protein, getting it unflavored, the Vitam, it's very blendable. You can put it in your branch chains, you can put it in your oatmeal, your coffee, you don't even know it's there. If you are interested in coaching services, reach out to me. I do think I have some openings for February, March. I do take a limited client load because of my full-time job and everything else. So Caracori Fit Life across the board, right guys? So caracorifitlife@gmail, send me an email and we'll go from there on what your goals are, if we're a good fit or not. Yeah, Katie, I agree. In terms of protein and how your body's gonna use it, digest it, what you're gonna get the most bang for your buck, if you can get it from whole food sources, that's great, because In addition to that, you're gonna get other nutrients. That's kind of my thing. Versus drinking a protein shake, you're mostly getting protein, maybe some other added fortified ingredients in there. But versus sitting down and having a piece of salmon, where you're gonna get the omega-3s, or sitting down and having a piece of steak, where you're gonna get all the B vitamins, the zinc, all that good stuff. So you kind of miss out on that if you throw in the supplements too much, which is why, Lexi, you're my freaking girl right there. I love her. I gotta pay this girl, you know? I gotta be paying Lexi. I don't pay this girl, by the way. She's just my hype girl. I love her. Yeah, and as Will says, healthy doesn't have to taste bad or be crazy expensive. I've always been most successful with dieting because I still eat the foods I enjoy. You guys, I turned pro as a bikini competitor, eating the foods I enjoy. I stepped on a pro stage winning top 5, eating the foods I enjoyed. A lot less of them, okay? A lot less of them, I'm not gonna lie there. The calories had to get cut, the things had to cut down, but I still ate the foods I loved and enjoyed. So the magic wand for all of this is finding what foods you enjoy. And maybe the foods you enjoy aren't healthy foods. Let me tell you, there's always a way to either, number one, make it yourself at home where you know what you're consuming, make slight modifications where you're making it a little bit healthier, a little more calorie friendly if need be, or I thought something just touched my butt. It was Bruce. You sniffing? You sniffing my butt cheek? Or you eat healthy 80% of the time, but still fit in your fun foods. That's something I do. I try to eat healthy the majority of the time, but I like my snacks. I like my treats. I find ways to still make sure that those are part of it. It says the chat's disconnected, but we have gone quite a long time. I wasn't sure if I was gonna go a full hour, you guys, but you guys are phenomenal. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. Again, if you guys enjoy these lives, make sure before you head on out of here, I know we were connecting on the chat box, which isn't gonna stay, so before you go, do hit the like button. That tells me that you guys like the video. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and feel free to take a little screen grab and share it maybe on your Insta stories and say, hey, go check out my girl. That just really helps me out, so I appreciate it. It's a whole extra step I'm asking you guys to do, so no worries if you don't, but it does help out the channel. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, found it helpful, and it looks like it went very well based on the interaction, so I'll plan to do more of these in the future. But I'm gonna sign off for the night, guys. Wind down. I do work in the morning. I work at a hospital, so your girl needs her beauty rest. A little hydration. The man's gonna make me a protein shake and we're gonna call it a night. So I wish you guys a happy, healthy evening, and I'll see you in the